Hi everyone, I'm Amy. I'm 12 Plus's social media intern.
Hi everyone, I'm Ebony. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and Storytelling, and we have a special guest with us.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
Where do you go to school? What are you doing?
I go to Arcadia University, second year.
Ah, nice. How's your time at Arcadia been?
It's been good. I miss it. I miss the physical presence of campus.
Yeah, for sure. What do you major in?
Have they made
English
decisions on what next year will look like?
Oh yeah, they did. I'm in English with a concentration of creative writing. They're doing all online courses.
Oh wow. So
How you feeling about that?
I mean, most of my courses for my major are just like reading and watching stuff, so I really am impartial towards it. I don't really care. I'm like, oh, it's just going to school, but without physically going there. So
okay, I thought you were going. Okay. So I don't know. Is it just more convenient for you just staying at home and just doing your classes online instead of? Well, do you even commute to college or?
yeah, I commute to college, so that means no 2-hour bus ride for me.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, 2 hours? That's crazy.
2 hours on SEPTA, and if I had a car, it would be a 35-minute drive.
Oh my.
Either way, I'm still going to be like falling into traffic. So
Yeah, I feel that because I commute to Temple too, and it's not as bad as your 2 hour commute by bus to Arcadia, but it still sucks just driving on the boulevard and then on Broad, and then there's always traffic somehow. I don't even know how in the middle of the day there's just traffic, and it sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely won't be missing that.
I think one convenient thing that I commuted back and forth to Temple for a while, and like it was good because like sometimes I'm like, okay, I can do that reading right before class while I'm on the bus, like, or I can just skim over my notes like right before class before this big test. So it's like convenient in that way, but then like the inconvenience of like, oh, I have to get ready 3 hours early to make sure that I'm on time. So it's like that
Yeah.
that balance in that.
Yeah, I know. It's the worst.
Has with like the recent like killings of like George Floyd and all those things, has Arcadia made like any like statements or anything that they're doing to be aligned with the movement, or are they kind of like not dabbling in that? Because I know like some universities statements also look very like surfacey in a sense, but they're like, let's say this so let's say this so people know that we are quote unquote believe that Black Lives Matter, but at the same time, like, are they actually putting in that work to bring that to fruition?
Well, my president actually had a message on his Instagram about all of the things. He addressed all of the things that were going on. I feel like my college is very diverse, but we fall short in the equality. Because there's a difference between just being diverse and just being having equality within that diversity. Where as the president, I mean, he spoke on it, but there's so many issues at my college regarding microaggressions and other forms of racism there that the college, yes, many people are speaking about it at my college, like all of the like Black Lives Matter things at my college, but we literally are fighting right now to lower our tuition and pull funding from the police district that is around campus, like I think it's the Abington or Cheltenham police. We're trying to pull funding from them because a lot of people are not supporting the police, and rightfully so. But it's just my college is just as traditional as most colleges are in their beliefs, and we have mostly white stockholders. So it's just I mean, like a lot of the student body cares, but I doubt that not the faculty, but like the administration cares.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel that, like with Temple, I'm not really sure what the like all across the board looks like, but they know that the students are outraged, but I feel like they're not doing enough or they're not doing anything at all. So it's like, like we're fighting for our rights and we're fighting for what's right, but are they really going to do anything at the end of the day? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, this is a Temple alum twice. Temple has one of the largest university like police forces, I believe, in the United States. And I think they did like make like a statement about something that's like slipping my mind, either like not giving them as much money or something along those lines. But it's still like you still have the largest police force, and in particular, it's in the middle of North Philadelphia, which doesn't make things any better on top of that, because it's not like they're just not policing the university kids, right, or the folks that are coming in from out of state to stay there. They're also policing that community as well. So it's like a double layer on top of just having your regular Philadelphia police, department there. Now you have this other layer of these other police force, which I think can make things worse, a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I drive through Broad and I get to the Temple area, I see so many Temple cop cars, and it's just really like unnecessary, and it makes me nervous too. Like, it's just why are there so many of them in the first place? Like, why are they even here?
Yeah, I don't get it. So what does the fight that you all are fighting now to like lower the tuition, like what does that look like? And it came out of the fact that you are all online, because I know like there's a lot of different universities that are still charging students the same amount of money, but they're virtual, right? So is that along the lines of like where that came from or where that stemmed from?
Well, everyone's signing petitions right now and attending webinars just to see what they're saying. And those people who attend the webinars, when other people can't attend them, they spread the news and give out awareness. But then they also, the one thing I really love about my college community is that they communicate, not the administration, but like the students there. They communicate what's happening and what admin is planning according to what they've seen. Not like everything, but what they've seen. So they do a whole lot of petitions and all that stuff for people to sign. Also, just speaking out on it in general over social media.
So your college, did they release a statement saying like they don't want to lower tuition? Do they have any other plans? Because I know for Temple, they were like, yeah, we're not lowering tuition. We're going to just freeze tuition for now. So is that...
Well, college did that. They're not doing that at all. They said the reason for justifying the fact that the school is still full tuition is because they're offering all of the resources that they still have on campus online. And I'm like, that doesn't have the same it doesn't have the same thing that it would bring out in person.
Right.
So like, no, they're not planning anything.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm really upset too that my tuition isn't being lowered and none of our tuitions are being lowered, because Temple was saying how they're traditionally a brick and mortar school and like they have to pay for sanitation workers, which makes sense, but also they're gonna still have the library open and blah blah blah, and it's just like, I'm not gonna be on campus, I'm not gonna go to the library, so why do I have to pay for these amenities?
Right.
Like it's yes, to be honest.
Yeah. We could go on and on about this. I think I think a lot of students are like upset about this. Even like I know like a lot of our new alum, like 12 plus alum, or like folks that are going on to different post-secondary paths. I know a lot of them changed up at the last minute because it was like, if I can go to CCP and it technically be online as well, like why would I go to this, my not my dream university, but like this other university I was planning to, when it's going to be online, right? Like I can see if it's like a local, like if you're at Temple, if you're like at Arcadia, but like why would I go all the way to IUP or virtually go to IUP and pay, you know, double the price when, you know, I can stay here in Philadelphia. I would have to be here in Philadelphia anyway, and I can go for, you know, somewhere that's cheaper. So I've known a lot of like students that unfortunately had to make that decision, and it's like, just because of everything that's going on in the world right now, like if COVID wasn't here, they would happily be on their way to IUP and happily on their way, you know, to Penn State and all these other colleges and universities. But like sometimes it does come down to like, let's crunch these numbers, like let's see what actually makes sense. And sometimes, you know, that decision is not necessarily in our hands, right? Because like I don't think the admin, like our United States government, has been handling this situation the way that they needed to, and I think that is trickling down on everyone else versus like them in a sense. So also want to ask like about just like the community you have at Arcadia in general, like how was like the transition into Arcadia, like how were you able to find community and find folks? Because I think a lot of our students struggle with that too, like just being in like a new space and like finding folks that like reflect you and that you have commonalities with and those different things. So talk a little bit about that and how you built that community, because it seems like you're really connected, you know, to the folks and your peers, which is like super important.
It's half and half for me personally. I am under so many different intersectionalities, so it's really hard for me to find people to really relate to. I haven't really found a lot of people to just rely on. I'm a floater. I don't really have a friend group. I don't believe in having a friend group. At Arcadia, it seemed not really good to not just be a floater and rather just stick to a couple of people, because everybody at Arcadia is just about themselves or the people that they hang out with. And I'm like too much of a Gemini to really engage in that. So what I honestly only have two true good college friends besides my best friend I went to high school with. Okay. Even though we don't really talk much, but you know, the love is still there. Right. I actually joined. Oh wait, I actually forgot. I'm head of a club. I forgot. I'm like a part of that community, and I sometimes forget about them, but it doesn't really feel like, because like we talk outside of college, so I sometimes forget we talk about other things. But they feel like family. I literally talk to them a lot. I'm a head of one of, I forgot my part in the department because actually we're probably not doing social media this year. Not quite sure. Part of the K-pop club.
Oh.
Because
some posters in the background.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I meant to mention them too.
I'm a part of that. I'm not really engaging in my pride club so much because I didn't really feel comfortable. As a person who is Black and trans and queer, I feel like the queer club more so serves the white LGBT. Like, I feel like that's a really controversial thing to say, but I didn't really feel properly welcomed there. And that's tea, but I'm really more active in the Black student organizations on my campus, and I'm planning to be more involved, hopefully, because like last semester I couldn't really do it because their meetings were really late, but yeah.
Since you made note of that, I do want to buckle back and just out of respect and ask your pronouns, if that's all right, and then we can say like our pronouns as well.
I go by he, him.
He, him? Okay. I'm she, her.
I'm she, her too. I'm sorry. I misgendered you and I called you she earlier. And we slapped you in the beginning.
It is fine.
You know what? Crazy is like the other day, like I was thinking about, I was like, you should probably incorporate that, like in the beginning, like just like what are your pronouns? Because it just needs to be stated. You know what I'm saying? So we'll make note of that. So thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. Is Gabby okay?
Yeah, I don't mind anybody calling me Gabby.
Okay. Cool. So I do want to dive a little bit more into one thing that you mentioned about feeling like the pride group is geared more towards white folks versus like being inclusive. So, because I have actually felt the same in like a lot of different spaces where like going into the neighborhood in Philadelphia, like there isn't much that is actually geared towards Black queer folks. There's a select few, and those select few are events and stuff that are really great. But there is this idea that like, okay, like this space is not made for me. Like, like this space does not reflect me. So like, can you talk a little bit of kind of like how you've been feeling about that, or like different things that you have done to just like work around that and like build some, not even like community, but like just find some space. Like I know you're more in the Black student. Are there any other ways you've been able to kind of combat those feelings?
I guess one thing that I recently have started doing was like communicating with some of the people from Pride, because I didn't want to be like fully no towards them. Like, I recently started telling them about my experience, helping educate them and like tell them how I felt, mostly just to people who aren't like part of the head, because the head is just like, I don't really like to use this like phrase, but most of the people, I believe, like, I feel like they have like sort of an underlying microaggression as to which they like feel like the LGBT community is united. Well, right now it's not. So like a lot of the issues that I have are very different than what other LGBT people in the community have, because I'm dealing with racism, but I'm also dealing with transphobia and queer phobia, just anything in general. And I'm just like, it's not an environment that I would prefer to be in, because of the things that I would discuss are a little bit more quote unquote radical than what other people would have to say, because they wouldn't there's just certain things that they wouldn't understand. And I mean, not saying that they will never understand. I mean, they should try to, but I feel like right now, in the climate that the world is in right now, especially, I feel like it's best for them to educate themselves so they can like prepare themselves for future students. I just hope that the Pride becomes a little bit more welcoming, because I do know a lot of people of color are coming to the college and they want to have that environment where they can talk about both of those things, because both of those things do coincide. But I feel like it's half and half with the Pride Club, because it's the issues we talk about, it's just a nod if they don't understand. And I feel like that's just it's not a healthy thing. Because they're just used to it.
It's like, okay,
all right, next person.
Like, you don't hear a word I'm saying, you're just like, okay, next. Nah, and I think that also like correlates to a lot of kind of like the things that are going on beyond like what included within the queer community, but like outside with like specifically like the Black Lives Matter movement. And I know that there are a lot of women that are actually being murdered and killed that we're not acknowledging as well, right? Like we're not marching for them the way that we're marching for George Floyd. And I think on the other hand, I know that there's Black folks that have a lot of work to do with inclusivity. But I think just in general, like that makes me think of like in the past, like a lot of white folks that would not acknowledge, certain things that we would say. And even though you say like your thoughts are radical, but it's like they're a little, it's common sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it sucks that we have to like we come into this space and it's like this radical idea where it's like, let's just not think like that, and let's think about all the people and all the folks that are within this room, right? And it was just like, oh wait, no, we got to think about everybody, like not just ourselves. And it just seems like this idea that's just like that they can't, like they don't have the capacity to handle, but at the same time it's like, why not? Like we're all here, like, and actually we're in the process of reading How to Be an Anti-Racist, the book, at our 12 plus book club. And I think it's like one thing that he mentioned is just like calling things what they are, like instead of like sugarcoating things and making it seem like I think for a long time we have used certain language that wasn't direct, but like talked about the issue, right? So it's like if we just call things racist, like we need to just call them racist, right? If we call things homophobic and transphobic, like that's what they are, versus like trying to label them a certain way so the person is not offended in a sense. But I think if we're going to keep, you know, if policies and procedures from the United States are going to keep killing Black folks, specifically even like trans Black folks, then it's like, no, we need to be radical. We need to call things out the way that they need to be called out. So I do appreciate you being able to be in those spaces. You know, I know how hard it can be to like try to advocate for a community when you feel by yourself in a sense, or try to push the narrative on things when you're the only one that is, you know, voicing that concern. So I commend you for doing that work and being in that space and just, you know, doing what you can to advocate for folks that look like you, and folks that reflect you. So we do have to cut for a quick ad for our 12 plus store. So here we're gonna go to a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back.
Let's go. Okay, everyone. Oh God. Okay, sorry. I'm still getting used to this. Okay, so
it's only the 4th episode, you know.
So we recently did a revamp on our plus shop at 12plus.org. Is it org/shop? Okay, well I'll have it up here, so don't worry about that. But yes, we did a revamp recently, and it's beautiful now. There's new pictures, everything's updated. Just so check it out. We have beanies, we have mugs like this. Yes, very cute. We also have sweaters and t-shirts and long sleeve shirts, and in the future we're planning to come out with stickers and new merch, so stay tuned for that. But for now, y'all can use the code SHIPPING+ for free shipping on orders of $50 or more. So yeah, go check it out, y'all. Okay.
All right. Like that, we're back.
Yes.
So moving beyond kind of like the college space, what are, I guess, like some things that, you know, you've been doing during quarantine, or even if it's just like a self-care thing or things you've been researching, focus on, like just what you've been up, because it's like weird being in the house bored.
Well, the most productive thing I've ever done out of quarantine was finished my book and self-published my book. Nevermore Heights.
Wait. Can we reverse? Because you just be dropping stuff like nonchalantly. Like, you know, I'm ahead of you know, this club. You know, I forgot to mention that. You know, I just published a book. You like tell us about the book.
Well, I wrote the book as a reflection and like a open letter to people that I've grown up with, because how just Philly is in general.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many kids like change their lifestyle. It's like, okay, so it's about a basketball star, and she's on the right path. She's like being scouted by colleges, the WNBA, and so many different things like that. And she gets on the wrong track.
Okay.
And like she does a whole lot of things that she's not supposed to be doing, and she goes on this thing, and like I wanted to write this story to reflect what happens in Philly, how this public school system fails its students, how the faculty of the school fails their students, how just the city failed in general because of how Philadelphia is one of the most poorest cities in America, like if not the most poorest big city in America. And you have kids who want to do things, live their dreams, but then their like lives are either cut short or they go into this fast lifestyle that they don't need to be a part of. And hence the title Nevermore Heights, because I don't want to give it away too much, but it's one of the most hardest pieces I've ever written. I never thought I would write something like that in my entire life, but it took me half of my semester to finish it. I literally spent nonstop. If I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was writing it. So I finished it up around like May, before the end of my semester, and I just submitted it to Amazon and published it through there. So
I didn't even know that was a thing. You could just submit stuff to Amazon and they'll like publish it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Wow. Man, I mean, I feel like, so do you think you took a while to write it? Because I feel like that didn't take long at all. Like, I've tried writing stuff too, and I'm terrible, and it takes me so long just to write even 1,000 words. So that's crazy.
That's what time to figure out how to journal.
Yeah.
I feel like I blame fan fiction writing for being my thing. I blame that for being my my time frame for writing. I blame that because I edit and all that stuff like that. I try to make sure it's as perfect as possible, but at the same time I blame fan fiction writing for why I can crack out a story within a couple of months, because I feel like if I don't upload enough, then I'm going to fail fans. But because this is an actual book, I can just take my time, I did take my time.
Yeah. So how many words is it, or pages?
It depends. If you got the paperback copy, it's like 200 and something, 214.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And okay, I know I can walk you into my fan fiction life, but that's so cool. No, I'm exposing myself right now. But I know what you're talking about, and I'm just truly amazed, and that's so cool that you've written a book. And like during your semester too, like you're busy with school, but in your free time you're just busy writing. Wow, like mind blown.
So where can we purchase the book? Because a lot of people are going to see this, so you might as well just,
it's on Amazon.
The bio, link in the bio or something. We got.
Is it okay if we put it in the description and everything?
Yeah, I can just send it to you guys.
I'm very excited. Okay. So now that Ebony is a big on, do you want to get into the K-pop life and that stuff?
Oh my god.
Do you want to talk about that a bit or no?
What questions do you have about that?
Oh, okay. So what groups are you into?
This is controversial. It's a controversial thing. I am literally it's in my Twitter bio. I'm currently old 4 groups right now. I'm looking at them right now. There's Dreamcatcher, G-Idol,
Okay.
G-Friends,
Okay.
and GWSN, also known as Girls in the Park. I like girl groups. I really am a big fan. Also like Twice. They're somewhere in the back over there, chilling.
Sorry, I'm K-pop right now. I'm telling Ev that we're talking about K-pop.
Also, my favorite boy group right now is Victon, and I also love 17.
Oh, I like 17 too. Yeah, yes. I was like keeping up with the left and right, what is it, promos and all that stuff, and watching live videos. But Man, maybe you'll hate me. I'm a BTS fan. I'm an ARMY.
I'm not an ARMY. I don't claim them. No, I love them. I love BTS's music, but I prefer their older stuff. So
Yeah, no, I feel that. And also the artists can be really aggressive and vicious. Yeah, it's not healthy. Oh.
I just want to shout out. I just want to shout out to Jocelyn who put me on to BTS. By the way, I've never heard of them until Jocelyn came through. Well, didn't come through, but she started working with 12 Plus and like everything. And so every time I saw some BTS, I'm sending her a picture of it. Like, look at this BTS pillow. Like, look at this BTS. But no, she put me on to some K-pop, and I was like, oh, okay, got a little tang to it,
So sorry, just a little bit more. So for your fanfics, do you post on Tumblr or do you use what's that other site? I don't remember.
I was on Archive. I'm on Archive.
Yeah, Archive. That's the other website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this kind of weird? Okay, I'm sorry. We can.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Did you just not expect this?
I did not.
Okay,
I did not.
I know about that life too. Okay.
I love it. I've been into it since like middle school. So
yeah, same. I've been like ever since I was in elementary school. I was like Shiny fan, like Super Junior, blah blah blah. Yeah, Girls' Generation. Yeah, I was all Big Bang, but Big Bang's like
yeah.
We're not gonna talk about that, but yeah.
I have a question about your writing. What inspired you to get started writing? Like, what influenced you to kind of like start doing that?
Oh, in general, or just for my book?
In general.
Well, when I was younger, my grandmother really couldn't read. So she taught me how to read at a very young age, from like, since I was like 2. So, I like to read ever since I was like a really small kid. And, I grew up reading a whole lot of different vast amount of genres, everything from like Harry Potter to Pretty Little Liars. One of my favorite genre actually is young adult mystery that is twisted with a whole lot of messiness, because like one of my favorite series is Pretty Little Liars. Even though they could have ended at the 5th book, I still kept up with it until like the 12th, but we're not going to talk about that. I also met Walter Zine Myers when I was 12. Well, I probably younger. I can't remember, but I just remember how tall he was and how big his hands were. And like I was just like kind of just fascinated by how he wrote his stories. And I wanted to do something like that, but for my city. But also when I was in high school, my Spanish teacher, shout out Señorita Hernandez, that's my favorite teacher of all time. She made us read a novel in Spanish, and I've been learning. I'm like quite fluent in it, and like after reading a novel in Spanish, it made me want to write even more, but in like 2 different languages. So like hopefully one day I could push out a Spanish book, but for now I'm like kind of comfortable incorporating Spanglish in my books. But one of my biggest inspirations, if I had to shout out anyone, would have to be anybody between Amiri Baraka and Courtney A. Kemp, who writes Power. Yeah.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. I think like it's nice to see that you pulled from like so many different places and people for like inspiration, you know what I'm saying? Like I know as an artist, like when people tell you to like steal from other people and then like make it your own in a sense. So like having all those different influences and then like being able to kind of bring it down to one, just like, okay, this is me. Like this is how I write. This is like taken from bits and pieces. So I think that's like really cool. I think that's really dope.
Yeah, I also think it's really cool that you're learning Spanish and you can understand it and read it and you want to write because it's like just think about it like just knowing another language like that's such a tool to have and that's such a it's something to be proud of. Like I'm Vietnamese and Chinese. I'm not fluent, but I'm proud that I at least know more languages other than English.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other language.
I'm sorry.
African American vernacular English is a language.
Thank you.
It's a dialect. It's a dialect.
Thank you. And that even in the book too, the book that we're reading for our book club, they even talk about that too. It's like, why can't we consider our students bilingual? In the sense where like they know these different languages, right? Like they know how to communicate with other folk, folks at home versus how they communicate with folks in school. So it's like, why can't I be bilingual? Technically. But yeah, so nah. So I know you said go ahead, Amy.
I'm sorry. I just want to talk about that a bit more. So I know that there's like a big push for that, the AAVE. So do you guys think that one day it will become like an actual dialect and people will recognize it as like legitimate?
No, I feel like it's a dialect the way Creole's a dialect of French, and how, if I'm not being mistaken, and certain things that are derived from the African diaspora, the way that the slaves spoke with each other back then. I feel like it just went down generations and it changed, but I feel like AAVE is something that's precious to the community, because especially if like people of color, well, black people of color who live in urban areas who are very proudly speaking those things. Like right now I may be speaking like this, but when I'm off camera, do I really speak like this? Like honestly, I can honestly, being in Philly, like we have our own version of AAVE. Baltimore has their own version of AAVE. It just depends, because historically it's just how we always have communicated with each other. And I would love to see it as a dialect that's being recognized, because especially when people are like pushing for it and advocating for it on like social media. Like I proudly speak in AAVE, but I could also speak in quote unquote educated in a very much so educated way. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. So
yeah, I think there's also this I've been seeing lately, like a lot of controversy around like certain TikToks that you could do like the voiceover on TikTok, and it may be like a Black woman's voice, but the person in the video may be a white gay male, right? And I know sometimes that can get very intertwined, but like a lot of folks are talking about that as if it's like blackface, right? Or if it's some type of appropriation of a certain language that you aren't necessarily connected to. So I think I think a lot of the controversy has come from kind of like that pinpoint of like there are Black TikTokers that make these funny videos and make these comedic relief videos for us, and then they don't get as much recognition using it in their voice, but as soon as someone else puts that voiceover and does the same exact video, particularly it may be a white male or someone that is just a white person, then automatically they get tons of recognition on that. So I do think like the conversation around this needs to, I mean, it's going to continue to develop, but I know in our book club yesterday we talked about like how sacred it is to the Black community and like bars in a sense, because I think a lot of things that a lot of Black culture influences the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely,
so I think it's like even with braids, even with certain hairstyles, certain looks, all those things they're not appreciated when it comes from the community where it's from, but then when the Kardashians do it, then
like
it's like
revolutionary.
trendy. Yeah, it's like, oh, you got big lips, girl. Like, you know, but it's like, yo, other folks have had big lips, particularly like Black folks, you know, have had these features for years. So I think the African American vernacular English is kind of like in that same boat. And I also saw something funny where it was like, you know how Venmo is VENMO, but they put the A in front of it, so it was like African American vernacular English, but pay me. I was like, yo,
I want that. Run me my check.
like, could never, ever. Right? It's like, oh, you want to say no cap? Run me my cash. But I think, like you said, even like certain, I think like I think you said it, but it was cutting up a little bit. But like Philly has its own unique like African American, you know, vernacular in the sense like even John, like the word John came from, like how folks are using it in the weirdest ways now, and how it's almost like normalized, right? I think of like drawing, like you drawing, like you're like,
yeah.
like what? Like I even talked to like some of my family down south. Like I remember going down there when I was younger and using like these different words. They like, what's that Philly slang? And I'm like, I'm drawing right now. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing.
Yeah, it's so interesting how different cities have their own language. Like I have friends from New Orleans, and they say stuff, and I'm just like, oh, like what does that mean? And then when I say something, they're like, oh, what does that mean? Like it's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
Also going off on that, kind of tying it with K-pop, like, because I think we both, yeah, like K-pop also thrives off of Black culture, and there's been
Definitely
controversies with artists kind of using or wearing like Black hairstyles, and I don't know, just like the way that they dress. Like how do you feel about that?
Ooh. In all of my years of being a K-pop fan, I was really blindsided to a lot of the things that went on, especially not just Black culture, but they like kind of mock Native Americans and also South Asian culture. Particularly, especially with certain groups that I'm a fan of, like they've all went through certain controversies with the exception of G-Friend. They went through certain controversies for certain things they've said, and I feel like the country can be ignorant to certain things. They don't learn the same things that we did over here in the States. They don't really know much about Black people other than the music and the culture and the music videos and all that stuff like that. They think it's cool, they think it's hip, they think it's awesome. So I feel like a lot of Asians who do know about the culture, who are in the K-pop industry, they either, some of them fetishize it, or some of them like just use it as an aesthetic, which isn't good, but some people do pay their respects. And I feel like there's a deep divide between appreciation and appropriation, because I've seen a lot of artists who appreciate Black culture, but I've also seen a lot of artists appropriate it within my many years of being into it. So as a Black K-pop fan, I do feel very angry when I see certain things, but then at the same time, I'm like starting to become a little bit more desensitized, but I do want more fans to be educated on certain things, and I just wish that the industry stopped appropriating and started appreciating and giving credit where credit is due.
Right. Yeah, it makes me, like, especially with the fans, like, you know, when people of color point out, like, you know, this isn't right, like, they shouldn't be doing this, while other fans are just, like, mindlessly, like, defending them, and they're like, oh, they're not doing anything wrong, blah, 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 and it's just, what am I trying to say? It's, I don't know, it's just such a divide, right? There's fans who don't even see what's wrong, and the artists don't see what's wrong, but then you have, like, it just sucks being a fan of the artist and just seeing that they're doing this to your culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is literally how I felt for a while, especially with these recent artists that are coming back now with like more hip-hop-ish concepts, like it just kind of makes me just, I'm like, come on, y'all. Do better.
Yeah, like as a BTS fan, like I do also think about that too. Like, because sometimes they do have these hairstyles, and I'm just like, you know, like, is this like this is?
It's not appropriate, especially Jacob's chicken noodle soup
Oh,
hairstyle.
I was thinking that's what I was thinking about. Like, it's just disappointing as a fan, and I thought, you know, because they talk about a lot of issues that other groups haven't talked about. So I thought they would know better by now. So it's really disappointing just seeing that even to this day that just little, not even little things, like they're doing things still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to look up the chicken noodle hairstyle. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He didn't look good with it. Their hair is not made for those styles. That's the thing.
It's not okay.
I just want to wash it. I want to wash his hair. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of Korean artists or just non-Black people, they use these hairstyles and it's not okay.
Yeah, a whole lot of people do it. I'm like, come on, y'all.
Yeah. Even like the whole like baby hair thing, like laying like the baby hair and like
yeah, I've
like,
seen a music video with
the bang. Like,
the bang.
Obviously, like just the whole thing and just like wave and it's like that's a banger. It's a bang.
I've seen a really good, I mean, honestly, I thought about that, but I've seen a music video where a girl had it was a really funky hairstyle though. But it fitted, so I really can't say anything. It was just like, they were laid, like, I don't think she even needed edge control. Whatever they used on it, I don't even know what it was. They had
that Gorilla Glue.
Yeah.
Lay them things down. Maybe I think this is probably is a good question for both of you. But what are some things that you think the K-pop community can do to show that they appreciate the culture that they're inspired from versus like appropriating it? Like, what are some things they can do to show that to stand in like solidarity?
I've seen a lot of artists, especially, well, personally, one of my favorite artists, Jessie. Jessie is a hip-hop Korean artist. She's very much so known for being a pretty rap star because she's basically a rapper. So, like, yeah, she has, like, surgery and stuff like that. She got surgery and stuff done, but she's, like, really prideful of it and stuff like that. And she's from New York. So I guess, like, her experience is a little bit more, like, cultured, I suppose. People would think that she's cultural appropriating, but I have to say no on that. I would say she's appreciating the culture because, one, she's from New York. That's the home of Biggie, Nas, and a whole lot of stuff. The way she talks, yeah, she can't help it. I mean, she's been bouncing back from New York and Korea for however many years. But I guess that's what she was raised around. If she was raised around street slang, she hasn't said the N-word as far as I know. So if she's just speaking like that, that's just how she was raised. That's what she was around. So, like, her respecting hip-hop culture, she's always paid respect to what she's known. So also, there's a whole lot of artists who've stated that who've cited Kendrick or Biggie, people like Biggie, or a lot of artists that I don't even know, they like acknowledge and cite those as their inspirations. I feel like that's what is needed. Also, when they speak on the Black Lives Matter movement, I've seen a lot of artists do that or donate because they know that their culture, especially one of my other favorite artists, CL, she's actually spoken out and she said like her group 21 was inspired by TLC and Destiny's Child, which is true because I got that vibe from them. So, like, she cited them as examples, and she also called out the community saying, hey guys, like, we've like literally used Black culture so much, it like wouldn't hurt just to say something about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man, I missed 20.
I didn't know. Too.
I know. Anyway, I didn't even know Seattle did that, but yeah, that's like a great example of how K-pop culture, Korean artists can, you know, appreciate Black culture. Like, just speaking out on these issues, educating themselves, not ripping off hairstyles, and like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like this is all common sense, and they're all old enough to educate themselves, but also at the same time, like, Koreans are very, oh wait, no, should I not say this? Like, just, the society is very, like,
conservative.
It's conservative. It's not very diverse, so they don't.
It's not.
But that's not an excuse at the same time. Like, if you're gonna be in an industry, you need to learn about these things.
Right.
So artists themselves need to hold themselves accountable. Like, fans need to educate themselves too. Like, just
definitely
to change.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's the only way that we can actually get like real change, right? And I think also just with like celebrity status, like if you have a certain status, you have a certain platform, you need to be speaking out and speaking out like genuinely, right? And not just doing it for like kind of like we talked about earlier, like for the surface touch point, but actually speaking about it, especially because you are influenced by so much, right? I think like from like Justin Bieber on like the shade room with him, like I've learned so much from Black culture, like is it like okay, bro, but like put some action behind that song, like you know, like post a book, like show that you're educating yourself. Versus like I met Usher when I was 13 because he was like my best friend and I love his music. Like, no, like we do not care. We do not care. We don't. Because you have appropriated the culture like so many other ways, right? And so many times, like, so I'm not singing Baby anymore. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's how I feel about BTS too, because they donated like $1 million or more to, what was it? The Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
But even so, the fact that even just a couple months ago they did that hairstyle and whatnot, like it just, like it's great that they donated, but I want to see the action at the same time.
Yeah. So we do only have a few more minutes left, and we would like to get some of your top song recommendations so we can add them to our playlist. Let us know what Jessie song to listen to.
Oh, I just know that she dropped a new song.
Yeah, she really did. She dropped the EP.
Is it fire?
I didn't listen to all of it yet, but as far as I know, yes.
Right. We're gonna add the whole EP to the playlist. Just run it straight through.
Do you have any other song recs for us?
I really like this artist named Mahalia. She's a UK R&B singer. One of my favorite songs by her right now, I've been listening to it in unhealthy amounts. It's called One Night Only. It's featuring, what's his name? I can't remember the rap, Koji Radical or something like that.
Okay.
It's really good. Also recommend Apple by G-Friend because it's a bop. And Rose Blue by Dreamcatcher. Just any song by Dreamcatcher, but Rose Blue is like one of their best songs. And as for Jessie, I would have to say I can't even say the song title. I'm gonna just say Who That Be. Who That Be is like it was released last year.
Sing a verse from it. Drop a verse real quick.
No. No.
Drop the hook so I can
all I know is that she was like, who that be? Who And then choreography, they do the like. I'm like, what is that?
That's hilarious. All right, I think I really love when we do this section because we find out that like the range of music that our students listen to is like it varies, and I feel like this playlist is gonna be a bop. It's gonna be everything I'm listening to all of fall. Just like this is gonna be my fall playlist. Like because we get like so many different recommendations, and I think it's like really cool because I'm like, man, I'm listening to Snow Allegra. I'm in my feelings. Like,
Snow Allegra, I love Snow.
I'm like, I need
Also, I can't recommend that song. I'm gonna have to recommend it. I also recommend Akio Mando by Kali Uchis and Rico Nasty. It just dropped at midnight.
I love
Shameless
Kali
promo.
Uchis.
That's my. Oh yeah.
I love Kali.
I love Kali Uchis.
I really like saying like Kali Uchis, but
that's my celebrity crush.
The last
one of them.
Kali Uchis. I feel you. I would have to say the same. She's very, very yeah. We'll talk about that on a different podcast. But even like Kali Uchis's last like album that she came out with was like really, really good. Like it was really good. And I think that was like the first introduction that I got to like their work and like the different things that they do and like the range of folks that Kali Uchi even works with. So yeah, I that's a good recommendation. We definitely gonna have to add Kali Uchi to the playlist there. But yeah, any other questions? You got questions for us? Nah, okay, I ain't think so. But no, we definitely appreciate, you like I said, waking up early and spending some time with us and just getting it up. I think this is one of, this is one of the funnest conversations I think we have had just because I think it went in so many different places and we learned so much about you and also just about the different things that you're doing and just advocating for, folks that look like you and folks that, reflect you. And I really appreciate that. I think that a lot of times we, in a sense, like we don't know what our students are going to be, beyond 12 plus, right? We don't know the different things that they're going to get involved with and start to do. So it's really good, like, as we've been doing these different interviews, just to see like, oh, look at her being a little advocating and just being a little activist. I just lose my mind. But like just going out there and just like fighting for, things that you want, right? And things that reflect you. So, and just being in those spaces where sometimes you're not reflected at or honored, right? And just like keep pushing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that you're doing, especially as just like a young queer trans person. So from my heart, thank you for hopping on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you for sharing your voice, your perspective, being transparent with us, sharing little details of your life. And it was fun talking about K-pop and everything. That was great.
It was like the conversation was like, oh, K-pop, here we go.
That was really fun. And yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you guest starring on our fourth episode? Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you, Gabby.
No problem.
All right, appreciate you, Gabby. Enjoy your weekend. Do something fun.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Thank you.